Hello everyone, today we're going to talk about My No Man's Sky. Or, well, what is a spiritual sequel of what was My No Man's Sky. We are talking about Dying Light, which you could say is the third game, or a spiritual successor of Dead Island. Techland made Dead Island, and Deep Silver published it for him. After the second game they did, which was a spin-off, and leaving, they went to work with Warner Brothers to make what they refer to what we want to make Dead Island. Basically criticizing Deep Silver for what Dead Island became. And I have to say, if that's true, then Dying Light certainly held up to those words, because it certainly is a much better game when you're looking at it as a survival horror game. It does have a lot of the similar ideas, like the Borderlands looking for equipment that have the classic MMO coloring of common to rare and legendary kind of quality of weapons. But one of the big differences between this and Dead Island are the toughness of the zombies and parkour. Now, in Zombie Island, the zombies were not very threatening in a lot of cases. You could literally kick a lot of zombies to freaking death. Like, there was not any deep threat to you from them. Dying Light, until you start getting guns, and even though you can get some bullets here and there from shops, if you can find some shops, aside from having, if you're using pure melee, there was a lot more challenge in fighting, especially the hordes. It's kind of like a Dead Rising kind of logic when you think about it. On a one-on-one situation, you can pretty much take the zombie down not too bad, because you can pretty much keep it stunned and under control. But in a horde situation, you're fucked. You're fucked until you have guns or a lot more powerful abilities. And unlike Dead Island, you have a big skill tree of different perks that involve your fighting, your parkour, and just generic being a survival. So you have your combat, your parkour, running around and such, and being a survival. And then you get another branch once you max one of those out, and I haven't even gotten that unlocked. But you will get skills that will make killing zombies more easier as you get to combat and that higher. However, that does not necessarily magically make hordes more easier. Parkour helps a lot when dealing with the zombies too, since most zombies can't obviously climb after you that easily. However, that doesn't magically make them all incapable of doing anything. There are a special type of crazy zombies that will run after you and climb up after you. There are also spitter zombies. We have the usual gang of exploding zombies, vomiting zombies, giant tank zombies. You know, the same classic Left 4 Dead copy and paste kind of thing going on here. Something that's just in most zombie games these days, to give the zombie hordes a little variety, which hardly seems to ever be working when they keep copying each other. But anyway, melee is pretty much the same chord, or is it? Actually, melee, unlike Dead Island, where you could just basically swing forever, you actually have a stamina meter. In a similar vein to Dark Souls, running out of stamina will basically penalize you, and you'll be fucked. So you have to be careful how you swing. If you spam a lot, which if you watch my playthrough, I was quite horrible in managing my stamina in that, because almost many of the situations involved getting hoarded over, and And the thing is, I played co-op with one other person, so I even had a second pair of eyes in my playthrough. And still, if you get hoarded over, you can get in some bad situations till you get some better skills to deal with them. So, that is one thing I have to say is a big plus over Dead Island. It's much more challenging and it's much more survivable. The day and night cycle is also a very interesting aspect that's nice to it, being a big open environment where you can climb around. And another interesting idea, as this keeps being a recurring thing in some games, is copying Dark Souls. The invading. And I do like a lot of these ideas at times. In this system, there's a special type of zombie that comes out at night, and it is affected by UV lights. This special zombie can actually be controlled by a player. A player can invade your game, be the zombie at night, and you can both get rewards for winning this fight against each other. You destroying all its quote-unquote nests, and it killing all you or your surviving buddies so many times. And whoever wins will actually be rewarded. So it's encouraged, and some extra fun you can have the game with the playing community of the game. On top of that, you have quests in that, similar in the vein of, again, like I said, this is going down the Borderlands kind of thing. You have quests, you have areas, you got your different levels of loot. So in those veins, it's very similar. The game is voice acted. Everyone, including the main character, has voice acting. The story is probably one of the weaker points. You play as Crane, who gets dropped into a city that has been affected by zombies. You're basically supposed to try and look for some individual who stole some information from the corporation you're working with, and get that away and hopefully into your benefactor's side. But sadly, everything goes wrong, and in a very stereotypical Western zombie apocalypse, everyone gets betrayed, everyone gets screwed, and everyone sees horrible, horrible fates. The story is pretty easy to tell, and it actually was really sad that there were multiple points near the end. I even freaking called out some of the shit that was going to happen, and most of those were freaking jokes. But I'd say one of the biggest criticisms I would have with the progression of the game storyline is that you have weapons of different qualities and that, but what I would refer to as the boss fights of the game always take your weapons away, and you're either handed a generic thing for the situation, or you're in a situation where you have to run away or such through hordes of either enemies or zombies. And there can be human enemies. One of the main villains of the game is a ruthless thug who has a bunch of people working for him, and if they spot your ass, they'll kill you. Sometimes they have melee weapons, sometimes they have guns, so they too can be more threatening than the zombies themselves in some situations, especially if they gang up on you with zombies ganging up on you. Though to be lucky, you can also use the zombies against them by crafting different tools, or just happen to get the right situation to happen, Pushing them into a giant horde of zombies can quickly get them aimed up, or throwing some firecrackers at them could just lure some to them, especially if you're above. Firecrackers from above! And you can craft a lot of things. I sadly did not make a whole lot of use of crafting. Anyone who usually knows me knows that I'm not a very big crafter. I don't really usually like dwelling too much into crafting, but you can make a whole lot of things. Your own weapons, lots of little things you can throw around. Mostly what I did was med kits, lockpicks, Molotovs, and some firecrackers at a few points. But there are a lot of other things you can get. You can also make different types of arrows for bows, which sadly I never really got to use. Got my hands on guns eventually, and well, anything I needed for long range, there you go. Now that is the game. When you got guns in Dead Island, the game went way freaking, like, super easy. I would say they even did that pretty decently in Dying Light. Aside from a few of the story missions that have little areas to reload ammo, to get regain some ammo, running around the world itself doing the generic quests or just randomly running around, the only real way to get ammo again is to find a merchant, which sometimes you can find a random merchant, or at the few safe spaces, there can be a merchant at some of those too, and you can restock ammo there. But ammo can be used up real fast, especially if you're killing a lot of the harder big guys. You can end up wasting a lot of it really fast, and I definitely would recommend trying to save it for porn situations of either special zombies or humanoids. Regular zombies, I would only scarcely use it in giant hordes in very unique situations of extreme need. But overall, if you played Dead Island and you were disappointed with it, whether it be like how I was disappointed with what even the game would be focusing on due to that lying trailer, or that the game was just too easy, that there wasn't really much challenge to it, then Dying Light is definitely something I recommend to you. It's a much better game in the survivability. I just wish the story had more to it. You can find the base game pretty cheap now, but you're probably better off getting the Dying Light that comes with The Falling. The Falling is DLC continuation of the storyline with Crane, and I do not have that, so I cannot actually comment on The Falling at this moment until I can get a copy of The Falling or a deal on The Falling itself. But that is what I would recommend going on that route. I can tell you, the Falling does focus on more of an open environment and a little buggy, kind of something like Half-Life 2 did, with a buggy in it. But as I said, I haven't played it. That's all I mostly know about The Falling. And I heard you do get to keep your stuff. So, essentially, if I could carry over my character to it. Which, of course, is most welcome. But if you were to get the base game, I probably wouldn't pay more than $10 for it, because, well, you have the Falling edition. Again, like I said, I would go for that. I think that was originally a $49 game, the Falling version, but I'm sure you can probably find it for cheaper than that. But like I said, I wouldn't pay more than $10 if you're just going to get the base version. The Falling, it's kind of hard to really actually put a price on that, because again, I haven't played it. But assuming it's a decent amount of time for a DLC with it, and you get the base game with it, I probably wouldn't go more than $39, probably. But kind of depends on what the prices go on. So, going into spoiler territory of what I thought about the story and the ending and all that jazz, you have been warned. So going on, Crane gets screwed over by his benefactors. You find out basically they were actually going to sell the whole thing that started the zombie thing for money, and then the government gets involved, and they're going to firebomb the city. Then you have to fucking prove to the world that there's still people in the city, and betray, friends die, multiple people die for really completely stupid reasons. You get screwed several times, go to a whole new part of a town, get screwed over some more, no person dies. Then you get to the climax, which actually is a really exciting moment, testing your parkour and your survivability, climbing up 2 gigantic towers, which essentially I would call this the boss of the game, because the quote-unquote final boss, we'll get to that. But you'll be climbing, jumping, and falling a lot if you fail a lot of the jumping. But once you get to the tippy top, you'll meet a big, bad, stereotypical villain, and you'll enter a quick button event. A quick time event. A quick slap bitten buttons. Well, I don't think quick time event kind of things are completely horrible like some people. Like, I played Shenmue 1 and 2. They work fine now, because the whole game is based on that, basically. But sometimes it just feels really strange in some games. Now, there are a few times, like when zombies grab you and that, where you're prompted to hit a button to get it off you. Or sometimes there are quick valve doors that you need to turn the valve really quick on. But there was no real moment where you went into a bunch of buttons in a one-on-one fight with a human being in the game. And that's all this is you just press a bunch of buttons, watch what happens, and you live! Yay! You screw over the corporation that was trying to get the plans, because he stole half of them. He was using them to get a ticket out of the city. And you save the city because they basically don't give a shit about the city because you kept the plans on you. Said basically, city stays and so the plans stay in the city. And then you get to throw them back in the normal game and you can continue along doing the normal quests and such. Aside from that, it's... the story is really the worst part. The story and the absolute final fight. They're the worst, weakest parts of this game. The very stereotypical storyline for a Western game. Though, to be fair, Crane lived. I was totally expecting him to die. But everyone else died, so I was pretty much right on about 90% of it, though. But I was expecting Crane to die, too, so... surprised me there. They last guardianed me. But, any other thoughts? I think that's about it, really, though. Joe, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely fun co-op. I mean, that's about the most fun you get out of Dead Island. This is a lot more fun than co-op, especially when you turn the player invade thing on. That can cause some immense chaos. And I like a lot of the customization, too, in the menus there with that. You can choose to have the invasions happen every single night, maybe like every 2 nights, 3 nights, and such. You can do a lot of customization on that. You can even, I believe you can also control the how time progresses somewhat too, from day to night as well, I think. But overall, I definitely recommend it if you were disappointed in Dead Island and you wanted something a lot more challenging than that. It's an enjoyable game, but story is not good. Hopefully the following is more interesting. And hopefully that's something to look forward down the road. Until next time, if you liked the video, if you felt like you knew something or learned something, please leave a like, and if you didn't, feel free to leave a dislike. If you got questions, like when's it high noon, leave a comment down below. And until next time, praise the sun.
どうだった？私の作った